I ain't tryna break you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. One thing I taught myself to do, no matter the problem, refuse to lose. So, how you want it, man? You can choose. If you can't take the heat, don't light the fuse. See, I walk in slow and ignite the room. Like fire, everything I touch, I consume. I'm getting up while y'all just snooze. While you make breakfast, man, I'm on the move. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. In me I trust, yeah, I smell like success, this Elon Musk, huh? Everybody wanna be like us, we don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough, huh? I ain't never gay, no I ain't scared, man, you know black men don't blush, huh? Came here ready to fight on this night, you better just run for your life.
So I was told there's a decent amount of fish being caught up shallow around docks, so I was throwing some top water just to kind of check out the area. I didn't really hammer the docks. I was going to kind of let that rest until tournament day. That way, you know, everything would be nice and fresh. Maybe they wouldn't get beat up too bad by boaters and whatnot, and I'd be able to get over there and catch a couple fish. And that ended up working out to be later on the following day in the tournament, so y'all check it out. After catching the one fish on the dock, I'd moved on over to this other area that looked pretty decent. It looked like it had some deeper water on it, but it didn't really. It ended up being real shallow, and I found a couple trees with some laydowns. Ended up throwing a spinnerbait by it. This whole area was covered with eelgrass, so I ended up catching this one off a spinnerbait and didn't waste any more time fishing around these trees and leave it for the tournament. I think this one ended up being 16 inches. I'll ride into the next spot. I see this little splash off in the distance and it looks like a feeding fish, so I decided I'm gonna ride over and check it out. I get there in the spot, pick up my rod, make my first cast, and catch this fish on the first cast. It's not a giant, but it's a decent fish. So this is the following cast, and pretty much right off the bat, I rigged it once or twice, and boom, there's another one.
Got another one. Oh, this is a good one.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm on a school of fish. It's right in a transition in some grass. It went from like 4 foot to 7 foot, and there's a little channel running beside it.
Little fat guy.
But you know, I'm starting to think about if I can come to this school tomorrow and put something together and maybe get a limit out of it and then go hunt for some bigger ones.
Little fat Brutus. big head.
I ended up going ahead and making another cast just to be sure I wasn't messing around and finding fish just randomly. So I ended up casting, and sure enough, there was a third one. So I'm kind of feeling fortunate here that this spot's got a good number of fish on it. So, you know, mark it down in the waypoints and hit it up hard tomorrow. After catching this fish, I ended up just letting these fish settle a little and did a little searching around, and I was able to find 3 stumps out in the middle of this eelgrass that proved to be vital in the tournament. There was a couple fish on them. I'll explain that a little later on. I moved on over looking for more fish, and there's this bluff wall that had a creek bed running right to it. I ended up going over to it and checking it out and caught this one on a crankbait. At this point in the day, this is the last fish I could catch. I ended up going back to the docks and just kind of running around looking for fish. I marked a few of them that were close to the end of the last few docks and figured I'd go back and hit those during the tournament. Alright guys, we're on the KBF Trail, Guntersville. Gonna give them a shot. We got on a pattern yesterday with a bunch of fish on a grass flat. Gonna see if they're still there today. Got that in a couple other sneaky spots, so we'll see what we got. Oh, that's right, broke it off. First good fish, and this is how my day's starting. Followed by this giant. Looks like things are not turning out the way I wanted. So I spun around and was facing back at my spot and hooked up with another one. It ended up being loaded with fish. I caught probably 10 fish off of the hole, but every one of them looked pretty much like this.
Man, I'm in the nursery. These little freaking jiggers.
I ended up going over to my sneaky spot that had the tree stumps on it, and unfortunately there was 3 stumps, but of all 3 stumps only 1 fish was on it, any of them, and I checked them periodically throughout the day. Those fish never moved back up on them. I did end up pulling this one off. It ended up being a 16 1/4, and that would be my first scoreable fish. Ended up checking them again and again, and these fish just never moved back. I went back over the top of the grass flat and never could find a fish over there. So after a while of doing that, I checked a couple other spots. The wind started picking up. Still nothing, so I decided to go over here to these docks where I'd marked fish the day before. This is with about an hour and a half left in the tournament, so at this point it's crunch time and I'm just trying to put together anything I can. It ends up being a really nice fish, and unfortunately, she was able to get the hook off. Well, that's how fishing goes sometimes. I'm still in a panic, so I regather myself, throw the Senko back on, and keep working these docks. Get her landed and get her scored, just 15 inches, little chunker. Move on to the next section, or the next piece of this dock. I see this fish and it's a freaking giant, so I'm all in a panic trying to get this fish up and get it in the boat, because I've now pulled 2 fish off this dock, one off the dock before me, so I'm thinking I can run these docks and maybe get something to fill my limit up. "18.5 inches. This was a fish I've been looking for. I'm now about 15 docks down. Haven't caught a single fish since those 3 off the 2 docks, and ended up finding one, but by the time I get this guy up, he's a little too small. This ended my day pretty much. I had 3 fish. Nothing too fancy. I was in like 71st place or something ridiculous. I had a couple fish that would have put me up there, but just didn't get them, man. But that's the way it goes. The Trail 2, this is the second day. I'm starting over. There's a whole new tournament that day. The conditions were horrible. I had to put on my rain jacket, so my GoPro's acting all funny. The white balance or something got screwed up here, and it's way overexposed in certain areas, and other spots don't look too bad. This is my second fish. I missed the first recording because it was raining. First one I caught a jig, it was 15.5, and then I caught this one, or 15 3/4, and then I caught this one. This one ended up being like a 12.5. The wind was blowing off of this point, dirtying up the water, and these fish were feeding in that dirty water, so I was able to get both of them. I didn't catch any more right here. I ended up moving out to deeper water. I was throwing a jig here. It was a 1/2 ounce swim jig, just working it over some stuff. Nice one.
That's a decent one. 17.
There it is, fish number 3. I kept working this area with a jig and swapping back and forth to a black and blue Senko. Sorry for the camera angle. My rain jacket kept sliding over to the front of the lens, so you can't really see a whole lot. This is another good one. Ended up being my big fish for the day.
Another good one.
This was a 4th fish, and the wind ended up dying and killing this bite. So I just had to make a move, and I ended up finding some riprap with a little breeze blowing on it, and I ended up throwing a rattle trap on it. I'm pumped now. This has been my 5th fish, so I've got my limit finally. I just got to make sure it's big enough to keep. So I'm feeling pretty good now. I see the fish. I know it's a decent one. Ends up being around like 17 inches. So I got a decent limit right now. I got 82 inches, but I know that's not going to be enough to win here, so I got to go find some more fish and give me a cull. It looks like the clouds moved right on out. It turns into bluebird skies and sunny conditions, so I decided I'm going to go flip some mats. Maybe these fish are pushed up. I knew they were shallow anyway, so I figured I'd do this and see what I could find. I ended up flipping this entire area, and this is the only bass that I caught. I did end up catching another little warmouth, but you know, those don't count. So I moved on from this and ended up making a run and last effort to try and throw a Senko around like this tree and a couple other docks and try and hammer those real quick and see if maybe I can get one more upgrade, but this fish here ended up being too small. I ended up making it around to these docks over here, and with like 5 minutes left, I see this huge fish right underneath this dock. I have a little arrow here. It's probably 22 inches. I mean, it was as wide as the space of the dock there, it seemed like. And I had to either skip a jig under there or try and throw a weighted Senko, and I figured skipping a jig under there would be the best bet. So I skipped it under there, and she nosed down on it, but she never would bite it. I kind of left it there for a few minutes, and then the time expired, and you know, the rest is history.
Well guys, that pretty much wraps it up. We're here on Guntersville for the Trail Series Part 2, Day 2. I think I made it in the top 20. I was 18th last time I checked. See how it goes. We'll check you guys out later.
Ended up in 21st with 84 inches, so not too bad. I would have liked to have caught that last fish, but you know how it goes. If y'all liked this, y'all please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.